X.
Can't wait. Oh, I love that. Hello and welcome to the How to Hobby podcast. I'm your host, John Power, and this is episode 153 of our show here. A little show that we love to put on for you, the listeners, coming in from across the lands and joining me behind the mahogany desk in the control room is the man, the myth, the legend, Shawnee B.
Hey, hey, hey. I have to tell you, because I'm really proud of this. I had a hobby-filled weekend, and I'm not
Oh,
exaggerating in the slightest. It was all day Saturday, all day Sunday, full of hobbies. So I started with I feel really proud of myself. I have to tell somebody. I started Saturday
tell
morning.
me now. Tell me now.
I woke up Saturday morning, and my really good friend Tyler came over to my apartment, and we spent about 3 hours working on my motorcycle. So putting a new exhaust on, replacing the fuel filter, putting a new dashboard in, just doing a bunch of stuff I've been putting off for a long time. Then he goes home, and then I decide to go for a motorcycle ride, about 150 miles all over San Diego
Oh,
County, did Elfin Forest, Del Dios, did everything. Had an
gotta
absolute blast.
gotta break in that new is this like
It,
a rum 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 like
it's
what?
a little bit, I mean, my bike still kind of sounds like a lawnmower, but now it's a little bit of a deeper, throatier lawnmower, I
Oh,
guess.
okay.
It's also like half the weight of the stock exhaust, which does actually make a pretty big difference of how the bike feels when you tilt it because it's already pretty top heavy. So by getting rid of some of that weight, it really helps. But that was Saturday. And then Sunday or Saturday night was a pretty chill, just kind of hang at my place, make dinner. But then Sunday, got up early Sunday morning. My dad came and picked me up. We drove down south, did 4 hours at shooting long range at the gun range my dad and I go to. Shot 50, 100, 200, 300 yards, breaking in his new gun, playing with some of my old guns, just kind of playing, having a good Father's Day,
Love
chilling,
it.
chilling at the gun range. It was surprisingly not very busy, which is really nice. Last year, this is kind of becoming a tradition of ours. This is our third year in a row that we've gone out to the gun range on Father's Day. Last year was slammed. This year, almost empty. It was really nice. We had the run of the place to ourselves, essentially. Spent like 4 hours there. Came home, napped because who doesn't like a good nap? Took a nap and then went out and did a combined Father's and Mother's Day with my family because my Mother's Day hit, my brother got COVID, and so we had to cancel the family dinner. And so then we did Father and Mother's Day combined dinner. We all went out to sushi and I stuffed my
Uh
face and had an absolute blast. So it was a day, it was a weekend of working on the motorcycle, riding the motorcycle, cooking food, going to the gun range, eating sushi, taking naps. It was the most hobby-filled weekend I think I've had. Basically, from sunup to sundown, every day was just doing something fun for myself. And I feel rejuvenated coming off of the weekend. I feel good, ready for work.
oh, that's great. I mean, it's wonderful to have those moments, and I love the combined Mother's Day celebration. Is this did you go all you can eat sushi, or was it just
Nope.
the regular?
Nope, just the regular. We all split rolls. We got some appetizers, some garlic edamame. We got some fried calamari, and then just a bunch of our own sushi rolls. It was just my family and my brother's girlfriend, and we all just went out up in Rancho Bernardo for sushi. It was really good. It was filling. It wasn't too expensive. It really kind of we went to a very expensive sushi place for my dad's birthday, so we were looking for something a
Yeah.
little bit cheaper for this, which was more in my realm because my brother and I were paying for it.
Oh, there you
So
go.
we
Yeah.
wanted it to be a little bit cheaper but still good quality. But it was amazing. I mean, stuffed my
What?
face has been
Give me
also been to sushi.
give me your top roll, man.
Anything that involves eel, to be honest. So a lot of the
Okay.
rainbow rolls. I'm also a really big spicy roll fan. So anything that has a jalapeno or sriracha on it. So kind of any of the spicy salmon, spicy tuna, pretty much anything spicy is usually what I go for in the menu.
I love it. Have you ever had the I'm trying to remember. It's the quail egg on top
No, I
of the
haven't.
sushi.
No.
I need to figure out what that roll is called, but this one guy I met out in Reno for this engineering training I was doing, he always got it as the final. roll of and they
Hmm.
literally crack a raw quail egg on top, and you just take it down. It's
Maybe I
pretty.
just haven't been to the right sushi bars yet.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Raw quail egg sushi. I wonder if this will come up. Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Nigiri. No, that is it. Yeah, nigiri. I was right. So a
Okay.
small piece of sushi rice, topped with a piece of raw fish and or other ingredients, and a quail egg may be added on top. It's like
Okay.
a
I'll have to look
nigiri
for it.
roll. Anyway, it's kind of crazy, man. Um, shout out to Greg Kress, the man, the composites legend out of Reno. If you know, you know,
You
listeners.
know, you know.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time, Sean. That sounds great. Getting that motorcycle up and running,
Yep.
tuning it up. I still need a new clutch in my Acura. That nothing has changed there. We had a pipe burst right before I was going out of town, or not really a pipe burst. Our shower valve, there's a cartridge in
Mm.
there that can actually go bad. I learned something new,
Oh,
and it went bad because the Arizona water is notoriously hard. So we
okay.
have a water softener, but even still, like the mineral content is just out off the charts. And yeah, so that was leaking behind our wall. We didn't realize it. And so yeah, that was my morning before I ended up going right before I was leaving to go on my big rim to rim adventure. So that is the way the week kind of ended for me. But the rim to rim, which we'll cover tonight a bit more, is man, it was an experience to be shared. So we're going to take the time to walk the listeners through that in this episode. But I'm glad you had a great Father's Day. Mine was fine. Kind of like coming down from the experience, and I'm trying to think if I did. I got coffee with the family, which was nice, but nothing too crazy. Just tried to take a nap. Realized that I don't really nap very well when I have coffee. Like
Who would have thunk it?
I believe it or not, that's a new lesson learned, listeners, right here, live. No, I typically do not drink coffee on Sundays, and
Hmm.
that's my nap day. And so
Ah,
I was,
what a dad to have the phrase nap day. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
oh, you gotta slot them in, man. I'm telling you,
Oh
like
yeah.
everybody knows, I turn on Formula One, Canadian Prix this weekend. I just or it's golf if Formula One isn't on, and then just that motor sound
Hmm.
and the commentary just puts me right to sleep. It's like beautiful. So, yeah, with that, why don't we dive into the lounge? Welcome the listeners in from all over the town. We thank you for always being a part of the How to Hobby fan club here. If you'd like to support us further as you're on your way in, please leave us a like and or follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. We'd appreciate that. That keeps the lights on. We do have plenty of plans for 2025 as we can continue to march on our way to Q3. I can't believe it, Sean. It's like right around the corner at this point,
I know.
which I'm not ready for, but it is here, and we're going to be establishing some things as we move into the rest of the year. So yeah, with that, listeners, come on in, sit yourself down, the plushest seats in town. This is where you get to really just take a load off. All right. After you're done with a big weekend or a big week in this case, you come into the lounge, you pop your feet up, grab yourself a choice beverage, and get ready to engage with the best listenership in the town here. Join the community at How to Hobby Podcast, YouTube, Instagram. And we do have a Gmail account if you want to get in touch with us. That's howtohobbypodcast@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you, listeners. If you have things you like to share about what you did, feel free to send us a line at our Gmail. But with that, Sean, why don't we dive into this topic of interest, which is going to be all about hiking the rim to
Yeah.
rim.
Rim to rim. Let's get into it. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to talk about John's Grand Canyon rim to rim hike that he did. We're going to go through the prep that he did for it, break down the morning session of the hike, the afternoon session of the hike, and go through a little bit of his after recovery so they make sure he's ready to go for that solid Father's Day of taking those naps. But before we get into it, I want to start with one telling you a little bit of facts about the Grand Canyon so it puts things into perspective a little bit. So, one, I actually didn't know this, but it is considered one of the seven natural wonders of the world. I didn't realize that. I don't know why. But it is a massive canyon carved by the Colorado River. It's located in northwestern Arizona. Its formation is due to millions of years of erosion by wind, rain, and the river. It is, I think, something like 217 miles long, 4 to 18 miles wide, and a mile deep, with the Colorado River flowing at the bottom. And as of the numbers I was able to find in 2024, the Grand Canyon had just shy of 5 million visitors. 5 million people drove or flew out to the Grand Canyon in 2024. I'm looking at 2020, it was 2.9 million. In 2021, it jumped up to 4.5. So a huge jump from 2020 to 2021. Makes sense because
Makes
everyone was
sense.
finally trying to get outside and go do things. But we're at a steady climb every year since 2020 going up. So we're only going to see more visitors to the Grand Canyon. For those in the US, you've probably heard of or seen the Grand Canyon. For those who haven't, highly recommend you just look up some pictures. It's absolutely breathtaking. I have not had the pleasure of being out there yet, but it is on my to-do list one of these
Gotta
days.
get out here, man.
I gotta get
It's
out there.
always an open invitation.
Yes, I got to get out there. Now, the rim to rim hike that John and his buddy did, I'm pulling this from hikingguide.com. So if you want to learn more information about this hike, please go check out his website. But the rim to rim hike in the Grand Canyon is iconic, spectacular, and challenging. Although there are many ways to hike from rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, a quote rim to rim hike generally means hiking from the south to the north rim or the north to the south rim. The hike can be done in a day or spread over a few days that include camping or lodging. Often it's done one way, with hikers taking a pre-booked shuttle bus back to the side where they started. Now, John and his friend did the north to south, so they went the North Kaibab Trail down to the South Kaibab Trail. I believe it was roughly 21 miles for the entire route, and they did it in a one-way trip the entire day. And I'm really excited to hear about this. This is something that is definitely a goal of mine is to be able to have the fitness and be in shape enough to do this. I'm not there yet. I did figure out and calculate I walked 73 miles while I was in Europe for a week and a half. So I'm working my way there. We're getting there. But I'm really excited to hear more about this trip for you, John, how you prepped for it, how the actual hike went, maybe anything that went well, things that may have gone wrong, and just how the whole process was.
No, I appreciate it, Sean. This was what a wonderful overview, as always. Best in the game, I'm telling you, listeners. Yeah, so we're gonna move into prepping. So this is gonna be all. I'm gonna cover the prep that I did for this hike. As Sean outlined, this is a this is a long one. 21 miles. I think the overall elevation is the thing that kind of is shocking a bit here. So you are going to be gaining 5,200 foot of
So
elevation.
a mile, just a mile, nothing that big.
Just going up a mile. And the hard part about that is, in this case, that is the afternoon gamut. That is what is on the
Oh,
appetite for your afternoon because you do very little during the morning. So I'll kind of go into that and talk through that as we move in. But I think that's right off the top. You got to be prepped for some heavy elevation and quick. And that's the important thing to realize here when you're setting yourself up. We did see some people. The other big thing, is a big consideration, as Sean alluded to in other episodes in the past four, is weather planning. He's big
mm.
on the weather, and this one you want to be clear on what you're doing because once you get in there, you're there, you're in there, and I think that's an important thing to realize about this. You can't just run and be like, okay, well, I bail out. There is no bailout once you're down there. And that's what bites people in the end with this one. So training wise, what I was doing, Sean, is I ride my bike every day. That's a standard for the Power household. Um, Naturally, as the weather has been warming up, it's 109 today in
Mm.
Phoenix. So we have finally hit our well into the hundreds, you know, Yesterday was 112. So that was like a oof. Okay, I don't like this. But I still do ride my bike consistently. I am a full-time commuter. I don't just take the summer off here. So that actually helps me a lot. I will say I was doing heat training as I prep for this. That consisted of biking. I have an exercise bike in my garage, and I would do that with the garage closed for 25 to 30 minutes
Hmm.
a weekend. Sometimes two sessions of 30 minutes, but no more than 30. I think you got to be very careful with that type of heat training,
Yep.
especially if you're not it if you've never done it before and you don't know how your body performs. You definitely don't want to just jump into doing something like that. I mean, even more than 15 minutes could be pretty spicy if you're not used to it, because you do at around the 15-minute mark. For me personally, this is my own personal data. That is when I start profusely sweating. So at that point, you're kind of it's like a sauna session where you're letting out all the impurities. This is probably part of where the heat training, where you're kind of building that stamina, that part of the endurance side of it.
Hmm.
I do find that I think in this case, spoiler, because they were predicting temps in the canyon to be well above 100 on this day. And I think that just happened to coincide. On average, June in the canyon is around 90. So it can be anywhere from 90 or below to well over 90 in Arizona. And I was talking to a buddy about this at work today, even just the extremes of the desert. Like you can go out there in April one year and it'll be full of snow, and then you can come back the next year and it'll be hot. I mean, that is
Hmm.
just the way this trip works. And so in my mind, you need to be ready for heat as well as cold. But again, the heat would be the tougher of the two. So I chose to do the heat training. Um, Still doing rides outside always helps. And then I was doing hiking. I think I hiked the 3 weekends prior, actually out on local mountains. I did some repeats on a local mountain. So I ended up getting, about 1,000 foot of elevation quickly. Again, I think the goal is you don't need to mimic, and this is what I've found, listeners, when you're talking about elevation gain. You don't always need to mimic the exact elevation you will be having on that day, because that's race day or your performance day. But what you do need to do is prep your body for short stints of intense elevation gain. So that's where the stair stepper comes in. That's where you are doing the going up the peak a couple different times in short succession, finding a stair climbs. Again, that's why that works, right? So that when on the day you have done the prep and you can sustain the heavy incline with good nutrition and water intake. So that's been the name of my game for the last 5 years when it comes to these higher elevation or heavy elevation days. My BWR Arizona race just beginning of this year was 7,000 foot of climbing on bike, and that was heavy. You're not going to be going out there and hitting that. I definitely did. I did nowhere near that amount of elevation prior to the race. Kind of just gotta, if you're a full time worker, you got to get it in shorter stints and prepare your body that way. And it does work. I mean, think of it like a building block method. So with that, Sean, I think then moving into the planning for the hydration, unless you have questions on the training at all.
The only question I have is when you do the garage training. So when you are doing heat training, whether I guess anyone who has a garage, or maybe if you don't, you have to do it outside. Do you have a plan for those 30 minutes? Is it ride as far as I can, ride a set distance as fast as I can, or do you alternate between just kind of chill riding in a burst of speed and then chill riding in a burst of speed? Like, what's your training regimen while you're doing that in addition to the heat training to prep your body?
Yeah, so I definitely do not do intervals
Okay.
on when I'm in the heat like that. I think again, you're trying to set a steady state pace that's not to where you're like out of breath, but still heavy, right? Like you're still,
Okay.
maybe you'd call it zone two. I don't even know exactly, but everybody, like for me, it's okay. I'm not breathing heavy, but I'm also not going slow. And that's
Okay.
kind of been for me, the sweet spot because you don't want it to be, and maybe that's what you call it actually is sweet spot because you don't want to be absolutely killing yourself because you're already taking a major hit. Like what if you don't hydrate properly after that? I mean, I take salt, I take a ton of water. Like I have water with me, obviously, when I'm doing it, but even after, it's like, okay, now water, now salt, big meal, because you want to replenish as soon as you're done.
Hmm.
And that's been a big part of it. If I don't do that, I will feel it the next day. Like your body will be like, dude, you kind of did something yesterday, and I don't like it. So that's just what I've noticed. Um, so yeah, hydration now is a big part of this one as well. So I plan to bring because of the high temps. At any one time, have about 5 liters of water on me. So full water bladder, 3 liters, an additional liter of water. It was more like a liter and a half. So I would say I probably had about 4.5 liters total. But I did have a Be Free, my favorite ever product with and you do have the opportunity to get water from streams as you're passing them. So that
Okay.
helps.
Yeah.
And gear wise, I mean, that's kind of the beautiful thing I will say about the rim to rim. And what I really enjoyed about it was this is not your standard backpacking journey. This is a day hike.
Yeah. So
And
you can be lighter on the gear, right?
that's right. And that is my
Yeah.
favorite part of some of these because, again, you can really pick up speed if you have done the training, you've done the hard work. All you really are carrying is your food and your water. And that makes a huge difference. So I
Hmm.
have my tried and true Talon 22 backpack, the lime green version. Love it. It's got all the stains. It's getting really old and grizzled with me. And I had my Camelback Crux 3 liter Camelback, the Be Free, and then a just a standard 24-ounce water bottle with I was using Element salt packs actually. So I've been doing this new thing where as a supplement to this just the straight water, I actually add an Element pack to that 24 ounce, and I can just sip on that like throughout the day with the
Hmm.
water. And I actually
Ah.
did 2 bottles. So I did one in the morning and then one in the afternoon. And I have been finding success with that. I think it just keeps you more even, like on the trend line of where your body wants to be versus getting like the fatigue and like your muscles start hurting, back starts hurting. I mean, naturally that stuff happens, right? I was having some low back pain in the end, but you don't want to just immediately start and be like, "Oh, I'm in pain." And if the hydration isn't in order, I have found that's the case. Like it just helps even you out. And doing these heat training exercises, I've actually realized that's the one thing I will say about it. It's been a huge pro. Being out here in the desert has helped me realize where my heat exhaustion limit is. So I actually now know what it feels like kind of bodily as my body's saying, okay, I need water. Like
Hmm.
this is what it feels like for you when you need water. So when I start feeling that, I'm like, oh, grab the element, salted water. And that helps. That helps a lot. It is
Hmm.
you got to be careful with it because you don't want to go too heavy. Like it's just, dialing it in is important.
Yeah. Have you ever accidentally been overhydrated going into a hike like this? Do you think you can really be overhydrated where you're, peeing a lot while you're on it? Or is it kind of you, as soon as you start, you're probably gonna be sweating it out anyway?
No, not really. I mean, I think in this one, I always try to be quote unquote overhydrated. I
Okay.
definitely drank probably a gallon of water the day before. I think even if you are peeing a few times in the morning, which I was, Um, man, when it gets this hot, no, it's like the
Yeah.
afternoon came around and all the peeing was not happening because it's all just coming out via
Yeah.
sweat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's kind of I would always rather come in overhydrated, quote unquote, um, so that again, to reduce the pain overall and the stress, right? Like the sooner you're kicking into like, I need water, it kind of starts like things just start to hurt and creak. That's just the nature
Yeah.
of getting
Yeah.
older, and I just feel it more than when I was younger. So yeah, with that, I'll kind of move into the morning session. I think that's where the story really begins. So it was a good um, stayed out there on the North Rim, and I will say, Sean, as just a little side window, the worst mosquitoes I have ever experienced in my entire life.
Really?
I had to eat in my tent. Like we all just
Oh,
literally set up our tents and ran for the hills. They were I still have bites all over me. I mean, just it within like seconds of getting out of the car. These green mosquitoes. It was weird. Yeah, be careful in the hills of the North Rim. Maybe free, but man, that's a gotta keep your wits about you. So yeah, I've never really sat in my tent and like made everything, but I was literally in there like turning on my camp stove and like trying to.
that's true desperation right there. But I would run from mosquitoes before I'd run from almost any other bug. Because I hate itching to the nth degree. I will run from them at all costs. I saw a video of one of the people I follow who does a lot of outdoor camping, and he posted a video of his tent, and there were just what appeared like thousands of mosquitoes that had just landed on the outside of his tent, and he just slowly zips it open to put his phone out there to show it. I'm like, no, that's literally my worst nightmare. I would cry if I had to sit in a tent and saw that many mosquitoes. I would hate it. So more power to you for getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, that was no bueno. I'll just be honest. That was not a great way to start it. I was kind of like, really? So much for the nice night. Now, the stars were unbelievable. And that is this I will say if you can ever get out to the south or north rim, Sean, man, we're gonna go I'm gonna take you stargazing. It is just phenomenal. So with that, we woke up at 4 a.m. Heavy, heavy, heavy early bird, which I'm not the best at. I'm like, oh really? Here we go. But I did fine. Ironically, the North Rim, I think, is at such, we are kind of elevated and you are at a higher elevation. The sun was coming up, Sean, at 4 a.m. I couldn't believe this.
Four.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were seeing actual sun rays at the edge of the horizon line at like 4:15, 4:30. I couldn't
Hmm.
believe it. It was so weird. And I think it had to have something to do with where we were
Mm-hmm.
in locate in relative to the horizon line and kind of the exact elevation we're at. I mean, it's up there. It's like 7,000 foot.
Yeah.
So that was kind of unique. So it actually made waking up at 4 not as bad. It's like, oh, it's morning. And then from there, it was I've been making a protein cold soaked mixture of it's like a protein oatmeal pretty much.
Okay.
And I've been taking that about 30 minutes before I start the exercise. And it's been working, man. I'm telling you. I've been dialing it in like the timing wise, but yeah, just really been a good start. Like you take it and then you just feel like you're ready. It's been good. And I think those are important things for listeners to hear. It's how do you get prepped? How do you sort of get in the mindset with it? Well, develop something you feel comfortable with. And if you can, something that you actually do. I do this once a week. I make this same like kind of cold soaked oatmeal because it's fast, it's easy at work. And so I think that's also it too. It's like I know it. I'm familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how I'm going to respond because the big thing about starting a hike, right, is you don't want to feel like, oh, I'm sick. Ooh, something's going on.
You want to be in your best at the start of the day.
That's it. Yeah, so dialing that in is like such a huge part of the morning. And I think for me this one went great. I also had an apple, so it was like a protein oatmeal mix, and then I had the apple and got on the trail. So I think we got on at 5:50, filled up there was water at the north rim there. You can fill up. That makes it nice. And then jumped down the trail. And it was just a wonderful morning. Very cool. Actually, it got down to the 40s that night, so it was still high 40s as we were starting out at the rim. But as you come in, it was like an immediate warm up. I mean, it must have been going up like 3 degrees every, I don't know, like half a mile or something. It was just a very unique experience, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
as you're going lower, it's getting warmer. So it wasn't cool for long. But we were making up great starting pace, I'll say, with the group. I think on this is straight downhill. So you're just going downhill. So hopefully you're doing good, right? I think it's always, again, one of those moments of like safety check. How after 30 minutes or so, how does everything feel? Is everything
Hmm.
nominal or am I, uh-oh, like is there some pain?
If we need to turn around, now's the time. Any further, and it's too late.
That's no, it's a very, with this one especially, because you're going down first,
Hmm.
definitely knowing what you're getting into, and then yeah, having that reality check, like, okay, am I ready to do this? Because I need to come up 6,000 feet, and that's not going to be easy. So yeah, all systems were nominal in this case, Sean. And I think from this point on, it was my standard drip method. With hiking, I know biking these days has gotten crazy, where people are doing like 90 grams of carbs an hour, and it's just gotten, out of hand. I definitely do not maintain that on when I'm hiking. I found that if I do a 200 calorie bar, any bar, it could be a Laura bar, it could be a Cliff bar, any of those hiking base brands, if I do that an hour, it's good for me. Like it keeps me going, it keeps me up and running, and I don't have to really think about it at that point.
And do
Now,
you find you're hungry and want that bar, or are you having to knowingly kind of force yourself to eat it, knowing that you need the energy, but maybe your stomach doesn't want it? Does that make sense? Like, are you
yeah,
actively hungry for it?
no, especially not
Okay.
after. So, and you need to kind of, this is where it's unique to everybody. One, I keep watches. So I actually have two watches. I have a watch that's like a fitness tracker for knowing the pace that I'm going. And I find this data to be really helpful. The coworker I was working with, I do a call at working. I mean, this is like an 8 hour thing you're going to be engaging with, and you're a team at that point. He even said like three-quarters of the way through, that is so helpful because I would just put out data, right? Like this is how
Hmm.
fast we're going, this is what time it is. And just like having those little towards the end, and we'll get into that in the afternoon, I'll kind of walk through my protocols for it. But it just helps. It really does. Knowing the time and where you need to be, and then knowing how fast you're going is very important data. And I've found that over time, it's been a huge game changer for me and the group. Um, and it helps with the food tracking. So no, especially after breakfast, you're sometimes you have to wait, hour and a half, but I always force myself to eat no matter what. I don't
Mm.
go 2 hours without eating when I'm on the trail because you can make excuses, but if you still have say for instance, you still have 12 miles to go, it's so fast, man. I've experienced this so many times where if you get behind in nutrition, it takes you out of the game way faster than if you're
Hmm.
ahead of it. Once your body says, "No, I'm tapped," and you're really feeling the effects, dude, it's like minutes. I mean, it's crazy where you just start, "Oh, I'm." So, and they call that bonking. I mean, that's really what it is. Like bonking is, I'm tapped. You didn't keep up with me.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a good question. Good thing for listeners to develop themselves. People and their build will differ, but the important thing to realize is your basal metallic rate, or sorry, not metallic, metabolic rate will increase as you're doing these endurance activities. So as you're continuing to do something for hours and hours, your metabolism is continuing to go up, 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 and it's asking for more and more. Everybody has a different rate of climb. But in the end, the cool part about this is everybody, like say you get to the end of the hike, if it was 4 to 5 hours or more, you will be pretty much like a raging bull for the
Mm.
next number of hours in your next wake window, really, because you'll crash, but then as you come back to, your rate is still up there. Like it doesn't just come back to nominal. And if you want more on that, go to Huberman Lab. He'll break it down for you. But it's interesting stuff, and why we love endurance athletics. Um, so yeah, Sean, nothing really too notable with the morning. I will say this. We had a goal to get to Phantom Ranch, which is 14 miles into it. It is at, if you pull out the little map there, listeners, you start at the North Rim and you make your way all the way down the corridor, the slot corridor, I guess we could call it, in the canyon itself. And this is all flat. Once you get down, I think it took us about 6 miles to get down. And then it's flat all the way until you get to Phantom Ranch at the edge of the Colorado. And that's at 14 miles.
Hmm.
That was our lunchtime goal. So I think it's important when you're setting up seasons or itineraries for hiking. You know, it's almost like Sean, we could do a whole episode on just what a hiking itinerary looks like. But there is something to setting goals for the group, especially if you're trying to do something like this where it's 21 miles. You can't just go into it and be like, oh, we'll see where we are. It,
Yeah, yeah, you've got to be paying more attention because you've got to keep track. I don't even know the right words, but when you're doing something like this, if you lose track, you put yourself at an unneeded risk. And you can't do that, especially when you have somebody else there with you. You guys are relying on each other. You can't put each other at unnecessary risk. So you've got to keep on time. You've got to pay attention. And I'm assuming, unless you had, did you have family pick you up at the other end, or were you taking a shuttle back?
no, another friend's wife who was
Okay.
willing to do the journey, the four
Okay.
hour cross.
But even then, you've got somebody who's waiting for you at the end. So you can't be too late because you've got somebody relying on you to get there at the right time.
Yeah, and you set times for that as well. Like we said, pretty much if we're not back by 10 o'clock, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like that actually means something really did happen, and that's when you can call.
Yeah.
So it's like all of those up front, like this is our goal. We want to be back at the South Rim by 6 p.m. That was the target. And then for Phantom Ranch, which is pretty much like the halfway point because again, it's down and then flat before
Hmm.
you start climbing. And that was sort of our halfway lunch spot. Now, I'll just be real. The big thing to note about the morning was we killed it. I mean, we
Mm.
were coming into Phantom Ranch at 10:50. And
Wow.
I was like looking at my watch going, dude, like what? We just did 14 miles in 5 hours. I mean, less than 5 hours. It was a push. I was impressed to just say the least. The coworker I was with was, man, hats off to him. I was very, very impressed. This was one of the best performances, Sean, I will say, from somebody I knew in, I mean, in years.
Hmm.
It's rare to see this level of combined performance. That was the coolest thing for me because at this point, once you hit something like that so heavy and you're like, oh, it's not even 11 o'clock. What is going to happen? Like, where are we going to go with this effort? And that was the fun part. So with that, we came into Phantom Ranch, took a look around. Honestly, it looked like a Phantom Ranch. People were coming down. Sean, it was already over 100.
Oh.
So people are coming down from the other side, from the South Rim, and they're coming in. They're just like haggard and beaten down. And we're like, dude, we got to get out of here. This is like a battle zone, and we have to go and do that. So like we need to get out of these low vibes. We go into the inside, and she's like, "Yep, it's gonna be 113 tonight, down here, boys." And we're like,
We need to go right now.
I honestly did not know. I played ignorance is bliss on this one because I knew it was gonna be hot in Phoenix. I specifically did not look up the max temp it was going to get in the canyon. I
Hmm.
knew it was going to be hot. So I left it at that. I was like, okay, well, here's where the training comes into play. I don't need to know the max temp. It's going to be bad.
Hmm.
And we got to be ready. So this was the funny part, right? So at lunch, we said we were going to take an hour. We said, okay, we'll take from 11 to 12. We'll just kind of get ready and get ready to go. Well, got into it and people keep coming in. They're like dying. And we were just kind of like, my buddy looks over at me. I think we might be able to leave at 11:30. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. I think we should maybe get moving. So yeah, quick 30-minute lunch, just pounded. I mean, what did I did my standard. I did a half an avocado, pita, you know, the pita or
Mm-hmm.
tortilla game. I
Yep.
had my um kind of like a cocoa spread that I've been doing. Like
Okay.
it's like a healthier Nutella. It's dude, it's bomb. It has like salt in it and Himalayan. Anyway, all the good stuff, and some this chia smash has been another really good one. It's like a jelly,
Mm.
but it has like chia seeds in it, but both in little squeezable packets. It was great. I think that's your big thing too, is find things, listeners, that you can experiment with and you feel like you want to eat. Like I got to lunch and I was like, all right, I am hungry. It's 11. Let's go. Like I'm ready to eat this. I'm happy. I bring salt, like raw salt to put on top of my avocado. Dude, it's like the little things
Mm-hmm.
that just give you that little bit of extra boost. But I mean, yeah, it's like, you're even though people are coming in around you like dying, you're kind of like just giddy as a clam, like eating your little backpacking meal. My buddy had a tuna in a box, which I never heard of tuna in a box.
I've never heard of that either.
But anyway, he liked it. And and again, I think that went to the what went well. It was like he actually listened. He called me up and was like, "John, what should I bring? What are you bringing?" I said, "Bring a variety of things. Don't get stale. Have things that you can go to at different times. And in the afternoon, which we're about to get into, have things that are easily digestible because you've already done solids, you've had a big lunch, and you do, like you were alluding to earlier, get that gut fatigue just
Mm-hmm.
naturally, where you sort of are like, I just don't really feel it. And that's where, again, it can bite you because in this case, we're about ready to take on 5,200 foot of elevation over 7 miles, which is in 113 direct sunlight. So yeah, it was like, okay, finish lunch, get ready for battle. Like we knew it was going to be just
Mm-hmm.
miserable. And this is where all that training comes in. So we filled up all our waters. The other big thing about the South Kaibab Trail that is notable, no water stops on the way up. So
Mm.
you have to go 7 miles with the water you have. And that is a kicker. That's where everybody gets themselves in trouble. The lady, as the lady down there at Phantom Ranch was saying, 12 helivac this last week. Like,
Yeah, that's gonna help
thanks.
morale.
Thanks, lady. Loving this. Loving this. So hats off to her. She was from the Bay Area. So, not as heat trained as we were. We were
Yep.
like, we're from Phoenix, lady. We understand the heat, okay? She's like, you're not gonna go out there, are you? Yes, we are. This is what we do. This is what we do. So yeah, with that, we shoved off. I'll have to put some photos of the Colorado River on the Instagram, Sean. They are phenomenal. And
Hmm.
there's a bridge down there. Again, it's just such an interesting thing because it's like so much engineering and canyoneering has gone into creating the route through this canyon. And everything was done at a huge cost of mental fortitude, right? I mean, it's like no matter which way you cut it, it's 6 miles in, 5,000 to 6,000 foot of elevation to get all that material in. It is just no joke. In
Hmm.
this environment, that's the major takeaway. It's like this is rugged, rugged, rugged desert. Beautiful, but man, you're going to get a little bit of a spanking. So, yeah, getting up into it, last little respite was you take a mile coming from Phantom Ranch, have a wonderful bridge climb over or flat bridge walk over the Colorado, which the Colorado is, it's just unbelievable, right into the climbing. And it is no joke, man. Like I said, the South Kaibab is harder, no water, and it's 6 miles for 5,200 foot of elevation. I mean, it is. I remember looking at my watch, and we had just done 2 miles, and it was like 2,300 foot of elevation, and I was going, yeah. So we were going 1,000 foot a mile.
Oh my God. Okay. Was it switchbacks or is it longer sweeping? Because the hiking I've done that did a lot of a lot of elevation getting really fast was really sharp switchbacks, but I don't know how they would do it in the Grand Canyon. So what was it like?
Well, if you look at that hiking guy map that he has up there, you can kind of see, what it looks like once you cross the Colorado.
Hmm.
Yeah, there are some switchbacks, thankfully. The first section did have some switchbacks. There are some sections in there though, right after the first few squigglies where it gets straight and straight up. I mean, it's just like you're walking up. They call it the tip off,
Mm.
where you're just coming up to where it sort of starts going down to the Colorado. And that was painful, man. I'm gonna be honest. So this is how we set it up. My buddy, and I'll talk about the protocols. My buddy was, nervous. I think, we had a healthy bit of nerves. We knew that
Hmm.
we needed to pack a ton of water. We came in, even though it's more weight, we said, nope. And I'm so happy that it was like we were on the same page the whole time. But it's like, I'm filling up my full bladder. And he's like, I'm filling up my full bladder. It's like, good. And we were chugging water at lunch too. So just again, to
Hmm.
offset it, right? Like, okay, I'm going to take two waters. I'm going to, and so he was taking, I was taking, it was a great team dynamic at this point. 5 hours in, feeling good. We were both vibing on the same wavelength. And, yeah, went into it with a goal of do 3.5 miles, stop, take a big break, and then well, see where you're at from there, right? We'll go in, we'll hit the 3.5 because that'll guarantee we're at least up and out of the danger zone. We kind of
Hmm.
viewed the first 3.5 miles as like, okay, it's direct sun, very, very little shade, and it's only getting hotter as the day is going on. So we viewed that as like, okay, that's peak temps. That's, if we do have any problems, that'll be where it is. And so with that, that's why we really wanted to put the pedal down, get through those first 3.5 miles, and then stop. So we did a great job. I mean, I think it was about 2 hours to get through that 3.5 miles of just straight up. And you're just sweating. I mean, it's no talking, just head down, grinding. We were kind of joking, like, get all the talking out before we hit this beast, because we're just going to be head down,
Hmm.
grinding. And sure enough, yeah, made it happen. Got to the 3.5 miles. He was my partner was ready for a break. He's like, we were trying to find a nice shade spot, and he ended up just finding this like sort of shrub. It was like, this is shady enough, right? And I was like, yeah, sure, man, whatever. And he just like collapsed in there, and I was just like, okay, well, this is going to be the moment. There's always a moment of like,
Hmm.
okay, this is hot. Like it's definitely well over 100 here. We're not feeling good, but the funny thing that came out of it was I recommended again in the afternoon, get the energy gels, easy to digest. Get the hydration packs, and he got those noon orange hydration mixes.
Hmm.
He coined it the super juice because he was like, I could tell it was he was feeling low.
He was bonking.
He was feeling low, man. And he wasn't taking the salt packs like I was. He
Mm.
was just doing water all the way up until that point. And I think he was starting to feel that like, oh, water's just not doing it because you're sweating it out immediately. You need something more refined. You need salt. And you're just losing too much, right? And so yeah, he started putting down the super juice, and it was like, oh, dude, you know what? I feel a lot better. Let's go. And he just took off, and I just followed him. And so our next goal was pretty much, and this is when he said, like, okay, let's set a goal. I'm really enjoying that. Like, I enjoy having a
Hmm.
goal. Let's track it. And I said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hike for another hour and see where we're at. That should put us at about a mile and a half left based on our pace. We are still doing 2 mile per hour pace going uphill, which was phenomenal. I mean, there were some times I was literally like, wow, this is like, I'm following this guy, and his pace is just, I mean, I'm having a hoof. And it's just so rare for me to, to like kind of be in that, like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
chasing right now. It was just exciting. And I was really happy to see it because I know that he had been doing a lot of training. And that's what I'll say too. It's like when you go and put the calories down and do the consistent training, even if it's just once a weekend, it showed. He showed up on the day and performed. And I just, that for me, it was like huge. It was like, see, when you train, it works. Consistent training works, listeners. So yeah, with that, we hammered out our next 2 miles, found more shade, stopped again, and this was where we were kind of in the what we called the green zone, Sean. We started to see a lot more day hikers,
Mm.
a lot more college kids, a lot more just every walk of life on the South Kaibab Trail at this point. I forgot to mention, by the way, the reason why we had to take the South Kaibab is because they are doing renovations on the Bright Angel Trail. The entire Bright Angel
Ah,
Trail from the bridge all the way over to the edge is under construction for water pipe improvements. And there's actually been this big thing in Phoenix of people like, why are they doing this during the heat of summer? They're inducing risk. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but we didn't have the option, listeners. So if you're like, why didn't you do Bright Angel on the way up? There's water. It's closed. So just so you know. And Sean, I think the big thing was, yeah, getting there. At this point, we were at 7 hours in with a mile and a half to go, and we just both said, let's just finish this up. And at this point, we're getting close. It was 2 o'clock, and we sort of said, I don't
and
know.
you were
Do you,
shooting for six.
I'm telling you, man, this was a moment for sure. Another big moment where we're looking out at this glorious, glorious view of the valley of the canyon below, and just kind of, what do you think? Do you think we could get it at 3? We just said, let's go, let's do it. No more stops, no more. And I just love that. I love it when it's the no more stops because I'm like hiking with my kids all the time, and it's all the stops all
Mhm.
the time. So yeah, it was no more stops, and that's my code word for just let's go. Headed off, coming up to the final switchbacks of South Kaibab, saying hi to people, actually having a couple chats, even though it's still like, I mean, this thing is breaking you. I mean, it's no easy. You still have like 3,000 foot. It's crazy. Maybe it's like 1,500, but you're still like just okay. This is a grind, and but got right to below. I remember seeing the final switchbacks, and I just said, let's hit this, and finished up at 3:03 p.m. So yeah, it was a 6-3. Could have even been quicker, I think, because we did stop and talk. There was a guy that actually said, as we were coming up to this area where we called the green zone, he was like, "Did you see a guy with a black backpack?" I said, "Bro, no, I don't. I haven't. As much as I'm with it, I'm like not that with it." And he was like, "Oh, well," and he was waiting for him, but he's like, "Yeah, we
Mm.
started at 1 a.m. and we're only right here.
Oh
We still had
God.
an hour, a mile and a half to go." And I was just going, we were both like, "All right, bye." Let's go. I've been there, done that, brother. I've been there, done that. But in this case, Sean pulled through. I mean, yeah, smashed it, smashed the entire idea of what it could be. And that was the best, right? When you don't know what's going to happen
Hmm.
and it all goes to plan swimmingly, right? Like you're looking down, you're kind of like, wait, really? We're already at like 13 miles? We're already at 14 miles? I mean, that was the morning for me. It was just like, wow, we are really, you should be. I mean, you should be because it's downhill and straight and flat. But even still, injury wise, no injuries. So that's wonderful.
Good.
And I only have a big, mean blister on um, my index toe, which
Mm.
is a killer. It's like got its own zip code right now. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, overall, man, great, great, great hike. My watch said I'd recover in 4 days. Sometimes that's right, sometimes that's not. I've been doing the active recovery. I've still been riding to work. I've been rolling out. Obviously, eating a ton. I do find that if you get, especially cycling, if you can cycle and kind of roll out some of that lactic acid buildup, some of the pain that's just like in your calves, because the day after was, yeah,
Hmm.
it's like, oof, oof, just the tightness, right? I mean, I don't know anybody that can get through that and not. That's why you're doing the drip method of like eating every single hour. Um, it got easier to eat in the afternoon because you are just killing yourself. But even still, it was a reminder of like you still have to do it because you're
Hmm.
going straight uphill. So it's not like you're like, oh, I need to eat right now. No, you're like, I'm in gear. I need to. So that's just one final reminder to listeners. Don't let go of your nutrition. I had an elk burger at the Grand Canyon South Rim to finish. That was the finisher meal. And man, Sean, I'm going to tell you, it's great,
But it was delicious.
phenomenal. And don't forget your chocolate moo moo. That is a coin term for my good buddy. It's for chocolate milk. I had chocolate protein milk waiting in the car. Oof, that's what finishes the day. I'm telling you.
Well, it sounds like an absolute magical trip. Very challenging, but very rewarding and fulfilling. I think it's really cool that you got the chance to do this with somebody else who matches, kind of rivals your levels of determination and fitness. I think I can see the glimmer in your eyes that you got to experience that you were the one kind of chasing rather than I think from what you've talked about with most of the other trips, you're the one in the back kind of pushing people to let's go, let's go. Whereas in this trip, it sounds like you were more equally matched and you're both kind of pushing it, which I think is really cool. Really cool that you guys are both on the same page of filling up on water, drinking as much as you can, having the food, having the easily digestible kind of snacks. I think that's all really, really cool. The last thing I want to ask is there anything you wish you had done differently, or did everything kind of just align and it was just a grind and you had to get through it?
That's a great question, Sean. You always have to throw those zingers at the very end. Um,
And you can say no, you can say everything went well. You don't have to find something that you could improve on, but I just want to ask you to kind of reflect on it. Is there anything you would have changed, or was it the best it could be?
with regards to the prep and the hike, actually, no, I wouldn't. I would say at this point, I have been, I had more food than I needed. So maybe, but again, we were killing it I was prepped for 9 hours of hiking,
Hmm.
9 to 10 hours of hiking. That's what I was going in. And that's kind of actually the hiking guy, it says like 9 to 14 hours. So we came in way quicker than I was expecting. And I think that's okay. I think being prepped for more has been my name of the game recently. I've been coming back with like more food.
Mm.
And I just think that's important. That's like a good one. That's a good place to be. And as far as the prep I put in, the training I've been doing, and how that's equating to good, consistent performance across the board has just been, it's just being solidified. Like I built the framework over years of doing these things through the seasonal activities I've chose, and they've gotten harder and harder. And you've been a part of these debriefs. But yeah, no, it's kind of just business as usual here. And I think I like that to be the case. I like it to be a consistent outcome.
Good. I'm glad that you're able to look back and reflect on that. And I'm glad that that's your answer because I think it's important that we always look for ways to improve, but it's also important to recognize when you really pushed and you did everything you possibly could and you absolutely killed it. So I'm really glad we were able to go through this in this episode. I think that it was really inspiring. I hope it was inspiring, equally inspiring to the listeners as it was to me. I think this was amazing. It was awesome that you pushed through and you were just set up. So congrats to you and congrats to your coworker. And just, I can't wait to hear the next adventure you guys go on together.
Well, thanks, Sean. Yeah, I think he looked back at me during the crazy ascent the afternoon and said, John, I don't think anybody else would ever do this with me. I
That's when
said,
you
I,
know you're friends for a while.
I said, I don't think you're wrong, Steve. So yeah, it was a great time, man. Definitely enjoyed it. And yeah, listeners, if you have questions about really heavy endurance activities, again, we have been known to do a few of those here from time to time. So if you have questions about prep, we have plenty of episodes on them in the past. I know one of the big ones that people do like is my Mount Whitney high altitude episode. So hopefully this kind of scratched that itch if you're looking for more of that. But with that, Sean, why don't we close it down? This episode will be coming out at our regularly slated time, Friday, 6 a.m., best day of the week. We love to fill you with knowledge. So if you want anything further on what we did, trip list, gear list, just let us know at our Instagram or YouTube in the comments. We will definitely get back to you. But with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And until the next time, you know where to find us at the How
How
to
to
Hobby
hobby
podcast.
podcast.